Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be building a tiny Minecraft village in just a 7x7 block area. And if you'd like to skip ahead to right when I start building this thing, I'll put the timestamp up on the screen. And so here is the tiny Minecraft village. So this one was quite a challenge to get everything I wanted in just a 7x7 area, but in that space I was able to still keep quite a bit of detail in each of these buildings and pack in a lot of the key features I really wanted to add into the tiny village, and overall I just love the way this one turned out. All these mini structures so far I think have been really awesome, and these are just some of my favorite builds to work on. But before we start work on this one, which honestly there isn't too much to build, I want to highlight some of the cool stuff about the Minecraft village and just share some information about the actual structure we're working on. And so first of all, let's just talk about what a village actually is. The village is pretty much just a cluster of buildings, and they're usually made out of wood and cobblestone, and I'd say there's anywhere from about 5 to 20 buildings in a single village. So there's a few different variations. You could find ones like this one here, which are just meant for the villagers to stay in for the night. They have a little bed and maybe a little chair, and sometimes they even have a chest. So those chests include some pretty low tier stuff. I'll put it up on the screen of everything you could find in those chests. And so that's usually just stuff like apples and carrots and different things like that. You could also find other variations of buildings like this one here, which is actually a church building, but you could also find a blacksmith building, which actually contains a chest with usually some pretty cool stuff in it, stuff like iron gear or even diamonds and obsidian. Another thing is the church building actually has a brewing stand in it, which is a pretty cool item, especially if you're just starting out the game. And so the main reason for those buildings are to house these guys right here, which are known as the villagers. And so the main reason that these villagers are so important is you can actually trade with them. So this guy right here is a cartographer, and if I give him 24 paper by clicking on this and putting my 24 paper in here, he'll actually offer me 1 emerald, and if I give him 7 emeralds I could get an empty map back. But usually the deals are pretty bad. That's kind of a lame one. I think the empty map is a little cool, but usually these trades aren't anything too special, but you can get some pretty cool stuff from them. And so some other structures that you could find in a village are these little hay piles, which are kind of like their food reserves. And so there's actually a ton in this village, a ton of different hay bales. And if you just start out the game, this is one of the most valuable things you could find, because each one of these hay bales is actually equal to 3 bread, and 3 bread while just starting out the game is crazy valuable, and so having that much just laying around is a huge bonus when you're first starting out. And so some other things that you could find are actually these little animal pens, which will usually have a variety of different things. Probably one of the cooler things you could find in here are horses. You could also find these little light posts. There's also pathways that kind of link up all the different buildings. One of the big ones are farms right here, which is one of the few ways to get the different food varieties like carrots and potatoes. And so another thing you could find is kind of the town center or meeting area. It will usually be pretty obvious to find because of the bell right there. It will usually be a fountain or maybe a little roofed area, or even sometimes they have these little shops along the outside. And so there's different variety of different buildings and structures you could find in the village, and it's pretty much random every single time you find one. So the village can actually spawn in all these different biomes. So that includes the plains, the desert, the savanna, the taiga, and then the snowy tundra. And if you play on Bedrock Edition, that also includes the snowy taiga. And I'll actually be going through each one of those biomes because each biome actually has a different village theme. So the one that we were just in was the plains biome, so they have some Minecraft village structures that look pretty similar to the ones that we had before the village and pillage update. And then after the Village and Pillage update, they added all kinds of new versions that really fit the biome they're in pretty well. The only thing they had before is they would change the wood variety of the different buildings and different biomes, but they would pretty much look the same. And now they're completely different and match really well with the biome they're in. So the final thing I want to talk about with the Minecraft village, since there definitely is still a ton to cover, are just the mobs that spawn in here. So first of all, the mobs that just automatically spawn in as soon as you find a village, but pretty much the mobs that you're always going to find here are the villagers, the iron golems, and then the animals that spawn in the animal pens. So you get about one villager per bed in the village, and it could also be based on the amount of houses, but I'm not totally sure. You also start out with one iron golem, which I'm pretty sure there might be able to be more if you have a bigger population in the village. But one thing that could definitely happen is they could spawn in more if the villagers are either under attack or just have the need to do so, if this guy gets killed off or the population grows or something like that. And so then the one final one is the animals in the animal pens. So these animal pens always spawn in with animals in them, and that could be either sheep, cows, pigs, or horses. So the one other thing that can actually spawn in with the village generation are zombie villagers. This is only in a specific case, because if you didn't know, and this is something I just learned recently, is there's actually a such thing called zombie villages, which are all abandoned looking, and all the houses have cobwebs and brown stained windows, and actually in those houses they'll spawn in with zombie villagers, and so there's a 10% chance that you're going to find a zombie village instead of just a regular village, but it's definitely a pretty cool occurrence. So another mob you could find in a village are these wandering traders, which in Java Edition, if you find any in the village, that's just by coincidence because you're in the area, because the wandering traders on Java Edition just spawn in randomly no matter where you are. But if you play on Bedrock Edition, the wandering traders could actually spawn in the meeting area of the village, which is usually the town center with the bell. And so that's the way that these guys could spawn in, and the two things you'll find is the actual wandering trader as well as his llamas. And so now the final mobs that could pop up because of a village are actually zombies. They're usually zombies just spawn in naturally, but there's something called a zombie siege, where at midnight you have a certain percent chance while in a village that about 20 or so zombies will spawn in, and they'll start going around and attacking villagers. And so that's called a zombie siege. Another event that you could see taking place is if you have bad omen and you enter a village, it will actually start a raid. So there's different levels of raids depending on the amount of bad omen you have. This bad omen ranges from 1 to 6. And so a raid will start, and that will spawn in pillagers, vindicators, evokers, and then the pillager beast, and they'll start swarming the village, attacking any villagers they can, as well as you. Actually, there's two more mobs that could spawn in from a raid are witches, and then also Vex, since evokers are able to summon them. So I hope you found that information useful, but that's everything I want to mention about the actual village. Let's get started on the tiny one we constructed over here. So I always like to start out the build by showing the exact amount of materials you need. So this is everything you need to build a village. The one thing I don't have here are grass blocks, so that's something you might want to keep in mind. But since I've just been building this on already existing grass, I haven't included that. But just make sure to include that if you're going to a different biome, or you're building it up 100% separated from everything. But the amount of materials you need are 6 wood planks, then you need 1 lantern. You could actually change that out with a torch if you want. That's 2 seeds for the 2 plants, the 9 wood stairs, 3 fences, 4 logs, the 8 cobblestone and 2 cobblestone slabs, then a bell, and this one's definitely optional since the bell is pretty tricky to get sometimes, but you could actually buy that from a villager or just find it in an already existing village. And then the other things you need, which these are kind of optional and you could also choose different amounts, are just the grass to kind of decorate the area around. And so then the other things you need for the tools is a bucket of water in order to hydrate the farmland, and this one's kind of optional. And then you need a shovel in order to make the path blocks, and a hoe in order to make the farmland. So now I'm going to show you guys a few different ways to build this. At first I'm just going to show you it layer by layer, so I'll separate it all apart, and it's pretty obvious, you could pretty much see every single block included here, but I'll break it up layer by layer so you can see all of that, and then we could build it block by block, and then the final thing I'll do is show you some variations you can make to this. And so here it is, cycling layer by layer, and this is a pretty simple build, but it should give you a good idea of every block I'm using. I'll also slow it down in just a bit so we could have an easier time pausing on each individual layer. And the only other thing I want to mention is that there's a waterlogged stair placed in one of the farmland blocks, and so I have that there in order to hydrate the farmland, and then I have it be a stair so that way it can be hidden and flush with the other wood blocks. And now for those of you who like to see the structure build up block by block, I'm just going to go through and build the entire village. So this is what it's going to look like when we're all finished, but I'm now going to get rid of that and we'll start work on the new one. So now that we finished up the main build, I want to show some more customizing options you have for this thing. And so the first one is that instead of having a lantern on this light post, you could replace it with a torch. And so I feel like the lantern looks a bit better, but the torch actually kind of fits the theme of the village a bit better. And so another change you can make is instead of having this little bell town center area, you could just take both those out and replace that with a hay bale instead. And so that's just another thing you could have to fill that area if you don't have access to getting a bell. And the final one is that you can make a little animal pen here instead of having this little farmland. And so to do that, just break out the wood and replace it all with grass blocks, as well as the crops you have here in the farmland, and replace that all with grass blocks. Then you want to take 3 fences, you want to place them down in a little triangle like that, and you can actually position this in different spots. I think I'll actually move it over to here. So the final thing that we're going to have is a little setup just like this that will be able to house our chicken in between. But for now I'm going to keep these 3, and I'm going to spawn our chicken right here, and this might take a few tries. You need to summon your chicken, push him into here, and there he goes. I'm going to try that again. You just have to summon in a chicken, push him in, hopefully he stays, and there you go. Now you have a little chicken pen. This is kind of what it would look like with some of those different options, but I want to show you one more thing that you could customize this village with. And so that other option is that instead of using oak planks, which is more plains based, you could actually switch that up with spruce or any different wood, and that could kind of change it so it looks like it fits a different biome. And so one biome that you can't do this with really is the desert biome, since everything there is made out of sand. And so I could do another video showing some other variations of villages, but I feel like that's not enough to fill up a full video. And so here it is, built up in a different theme. We now have these darker spruce buildings. And so I feel like these might need some modifications other than just changing the wood. But since the plains village buildings actually look a bit different than the spruce ones, there's definitely some modifications you can make to make them better fit the spruce theme. But that's just an idea to give you something to build off of if you wanted. And I think that's going to be it for the mini village. So I hope you guys enjoyed building up your own mini village, or just watching the video, or maybe learning some different things about the actual village. But now I want to switch over to do something real quick before the video ends, because I have a few different announcements and things I want to talk about with you guys. And so the first thing I want to say is that I'm going to try to get a video up a week from now, but I'm not sure I'll be able to, as I actually have a huge plan for a future video, and I don't want to spoil too much, but it's going to be big, and I'm super excited to start recording it, because it's going to be pretty crazy. But I don't want to hype it up too much, so let's move on to the next subject. So the next thing I want to talk about that's more Minecraft based is the new snapshot, the newest snapshot of 1.16. I just watched Exuma's video on it, and this seems like such a big deal, because if you didn't know, they just added a new ore called netherite, and you could actually combine diamond gear and netherite together to make a new stronger gear and stronger tools that are actually stronger than diamonds, which for someone who's played Minecraft for a long time, that is just absolutely insane. And another thing is, I just want to recommend my last video, since I think that's the start of a series that should be super exciting, and that's definitely one of my higher quality videos. And so the next thing that I want to bring up is I have some videos that I've been working on that I'm so excited to share with you guys. And so I just want you to know that there's going to be some big stuff coming up. I think the next video should just be a regular video, but after that there should be some pretty awesome stuff. So yeah, just super excited for what's to come. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. I'm really working hard to improve them, so I hope you guys could tell that through the progression of these videos. But I think that's going to be it. We built our tiny village, it's looking awesome, and I just want to say huge thanks for watching. So that's it guys, see you next time, see you later, goodbye.